What I thought I'd show you today is we've had a couple of questions about what a Trach Wash involves, and when we send these Trach Washes in light of the fact that there's been this respiratory virus that's been doing the round of Europe, and we've certainly not been immune to that. So what the process involves is galloping the horse in the morning. Generally the bloods, we would have taken bloods to check, but these bloods have proven to be a bit unreliable. We would gallop the horse on the morning. The vet is here, and the vet would then pass an endoscope up through the horse's nostril and down the trachea and down, right down as low as down to the point of where the trachea starts to branch into the lungs. What they do then is syringe a small amount of saline solution, just a very small amount, which then mixes in with whatever would be in that trachea or brought up from the lungs. And that gives us a good indication then by drawing that sample back, or that fluid back, that will bring with it the cells and any mucus or any blood or anything that's down there that we can then send away to the lab to be tested. So this is an example of some syringes. These are 4 quite good ones. When you draw back the fluid, this is quite good, nice and clean. The one on the right obviously is slightly cloudy. We would perhaps send that off to the lab and get that checked out as a precaution, but the other 3 we probably wouldn't. We would say we would be pretty happy with them. You can see those 3, they're vastly different. The one on the left clearly needs to have some rest and some antibiotics. That's a pretty mucky sample, but we would still send it off to the lab. Sometimes it can be slightly misleading. It can be other substances, feed and things like that. Middle one not so bad, and the one on the right there is a nice clean sample. But we then send them off to the lab, where they then isolate those cells in a dish and can give us a good feedback as to exactly what cells, whether it be inflammation, whether they bacterial cells, they can tell all sorts of things from that, and that's the sort of result we get. You can see those 4 horses, 4 examples. A is very good, B not so good, and the C is pretty, well, that would be a pass with a 3 inflammation score. That wouldn't be too bad. Based on those results, we then choose to treat the horse. We've got a number of ways where antibiotics, obviously, which would be something which is used for one who is quite dirty. The other one, we would nebulise these treatments, where we get the horse on the treadmill, and so the horse gets some nice breathing happening through the nebulizer, and we can put the medicine in through there, and it gets it down topically into the lungs. This is a great way of ensuring that the horse gets the right treatment, which is great. And often, unfortunately, the horses just need a little bit of a rest if they're bad enough to get over it. But we look to be coming out of the woods now. We've got a couple of scopes that are still just not 100% right, that as we would hope. But it's a very, very good way of us telling the general health of a horse. If they can't get the wind in their lungs, they really don't perform. It's the biggest inhibiting factor of all. So I hope that gave some insight into people. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But I thought it might be of interest to some who perhaps were wondering what it all involves.